Israel Gaza war has been going on for the last 2 weeks now. I think tomorrow will be the 2 week anniversary. Since then, I've seen some fucking heinous shit, mainly on Reddit when it comes to the war footage. And I remember back in the day, terrorist attacks, you'd have to you'd have to seek it out when something happened, live leak or something, in respect if you wanted to see some type of snuff footage in respect to the war. But recently, I think it has to be to do with GoPros being on the planes and everyone got a cell phone, civilians and the soldiers, and so it's fucking everywhere. It seems to be covered up a little bit more, but Reddit, maybe it's just a weird fucking subreddits that I'm on. Seen some tons of really horrific shit. And yeah, I'm torn when it comes to it because I'm like, all right, I keep seeing all this horrendous shit. And is this something that's unhealthy to look at all day long? Because you're like, well, yeah, this is the reality of the situation. And if you want to know what's going on in the world, you should not be afraid to look at this stuff. Or is it a case of like, well, have I lifted a finger to help? No. Have I raised awareness by sharing a hashtag on social media? No. I've seen all this terrible stuff, but I haven't weighed in on a surface level or more meaningful way. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting my vibe killed by this heinous shit that's being freely shared online. And yeah, I just kind of like there's also the question in which it's like we had COVID, then that got ended essentially by the Russia Ukraine war, and so that was like the new hashtag to give a shit about. And the feedback there from a lot of people was, okay, we only care about this because it's two countries filled with white people killing one another. We're not giving a fuck about the slave auctions that are occurring in the Middle East or any of the other conflicts that are happening because it involves brown or black people. And then Russia Ukraine gets dropped like a used rubber because Israel is by proxy America, and an attack on Israel is an attack on America. And so America's like, well, what happens over here is kind of directly going to influence us. And so fuck Russia, Ukraine, let's look over here. So you're seeing all this stuff and you're kind of like, well, this is definitely the flavor of the month right now. And they want me to look over here and they want me to notice all this shit. And when I say they, I sound like that fucking band Muse. They're always thinking about they will not control us. Like, who's they? Is everything coordinated in the media? Fuck no. Especially now on things like Reddit, right? They can suppress stuff, they can massage messages, but on Twitter, it's still a lot of, despite all the shadow banning and stuff like that, there's still boots on the ground people sharing their actual opinions and individuals just being able to like throw their 2 cents in. And so yeah, there is like a, I guess, a massaging of the message by not talking about other conflicts and focusing on like the big bout. And there's like the mob rule or kind of voting with the feet. If most people are interested, then that gets more coverage and the ball keeps rolling from there until it loses steam or a new hot thing walks in the room. It's kind of like sometimes when you look at these wars, you think of it almost as like, is this YouTube boxing in a sense where it's like, okay, Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis, they're going to be stepping into a ring and ostensibly throwing punches at each other. However, it's not this most serious boxing fight that's happening right now. There are some actual boxers who've been doing it since they were in diapers, baby. That's the real boxing fight you should care about. The most dangerous men in the world, but we're over here looking at this spectacle because it's got bigger names involved. Do you feel like sometimes wars feel like that? Or just the reporting around them and the constant kind of like, maybe I've just been slightly hoodwinked by the conspiratorial amongst us who are kind of like, well, do you know what's really going on over there? Why we hear about it so much? It's like, ooh, you've got my you had you had my interest, now you have my attention. I don't fucking know what to believe. Um, and I also I'm starting to wonder whether people in non-fucked up countries should be bothering to like care about any of this stuff at all. It sounds heinous, right? It sounds horrible. In this supposedly globalized, interconnected world. And that was one thing where it's Trump. I'm not an American, so I don't really didn't have to vote for him, don't have to have an opinion on him. One thing in which I was like, this would be a cool experiment was Trump saying, yeah, let's pull America out of their position as world police and let's see what happens. And I don't know. It seems like Joe Biden has kind of continued that to a certain degree because it's kind of like, well, it hasn't worked out that well for America when they've got involved. And maybe they're still involved, but they're just using other people to kind of jump on grenades now, other countries to fight their fights. And they've always done that to a certain degree. But it's a case of like, well, wasn't the whole kind of globalization neocon thing just a big fucking scam to get a few people rich? And we were never really connected and never really best friends. And like, there are beefs that are just never going to end. And so why don't you, everyone can worry about their like local beefs and then we can just forget about the big beefs. This is the dumbest geopolitical commentary ever. But it's a case of like, well, what happens if the media reporting, instead of me having to see all the horrific stuff that happened when that hospital fell over in Gaza the other day, if I gave a shit more about like what was happening in my neck of the woods and cleaned up my backyard, where I've got an opportunity to actually maybe change things, would that be more, would the world function in a more effective way? Because people are like, can't do anything about that because it's on the other side of the world and it's a political hotbed. However, the cul-de-sac down the street has an issue with the curb, and they're looking for some extra bodies to get on the shovels next Saturday Arvo. Are you free, mate? I don't fucking know what I'm saying, but I'm seeing gore and disgusting shit on my phone all day long. I'm not doing anything about it, and nothing's changing in the world. So are we just gonna keep doing this? I don't know. Let me know, y'all. Catch you on the next one. Bye.